Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Ryan Haywood.
It's the end of the world as we know it, guys. Google is officially at war with, well, everyone, actually. Let's see if we can keep a tally.
Apple.
Already won it? Is it still a war if you have more than 80% of the smartphone market share?
How about MPAA?
With enthusiasm.
NSA?
Why not? No one likes those pervs.
AT&T, Time Warner, Comcast, and every other job of the HUD of the home internet world.
Yeah, Google Fiber's coming for you, bitches.
Well, let's kick up the war a notch or 3 by coming for their mobile service too. Google has announced Project Fi because that sounds less scary than Project World Takeover. Basically, they're going to take over the mobile phone network game.
As per usual, they're relying largely on other infrastructures to do the work. They've partnered with Sprint and T-Mobile in the US. International, a little bit trickier. Let's face it, negotiating with all the services in Europe is probably just a little bit more complicated.
PlayStation Now.
There are 120 countries you can still use the Wi-Fi services in, and the data will cost you the same as in the US, but speeds are going to be restricted to 3G, and you can call international numbers, but that's going to cost you 20 cents a minute.
So far, at least this early stage looks pretty US focused, but hopefully it will have fewer dead spots than usual, because it will automatically hop you from one to the other depending on who's got the strongest signal, where you are, and it will also hop between more than 1 million open Wi-Fi networks and use data whenever that's available. And when you're on Wi-Fi, it doesn't count against your data allowance.
And then instead of splitting a bill between all those different telcos, you pay Google $20 for the unlimited talk and text part, and then data runs at a flat $10 per gigabyte, but then you get credited back for anything you don't use, you can use it the next month, and you can tether your other gadgets through it, no questions asked.
Pretty straightforward. Actually, way more straightforward than usual telephone plans. It also takes your phone number out of the device you're using and makes it account-based instead.
Which is handy if you're the kind of person who makes a habit of leaving your phone in a taxi somewhere. You get on another one, log in, bam, you still make calls from your number. Makes sense, really. Not much is device-based anymore unless you're Nintendo. Everything lives in the cloud. Those things are getting heavy.
But there's kind of a catch. Maybe a different device, but it will still be the same device.
Currently, there's only one phone with this new service that works. It's the Nexus 6, and there are no plans to expand beyond that one phone during the early access period. How long will that be? I don't even know.
Is Gmail out of beta yet? It is, right? Yeah, probably.
Adam, why would they launch a mobile phone network for one phone?
Hey, we're over in LA and we're all a bunch of Android nerds because we use Android phones. Actually, yeah, Nexus 6 is an amazing device. A little while ago, Bruce actually bought it, and I was kind of confused. Go grab it. I was kind of confused when he said it worked on Verizon. That was his big problem with the Nexus 5, is they didn't have a Verizon model. Instead, the Nexus 6 had all of them, and now it's basically, it kind of makes sense now because they're using, you know, Fi, it's jumping on every network. And the 6 right now is the only one who can do that. And I've heard that the iPhone 6 can do this as well, which also means Apple is probably thinking about doing something very similar. Where's that phone?
You don't want to know.
How likely is it that the Project Aura is going to support the same thing?
The beauty of Project Aura is that it's whatever you want it to be, baby. Because, yeah, if you need to be on GSM or CDMA or any different type of network LTE, you could theoretically just plug and play that right in. So, yeah, Aura is kind of actually the future of all phones, I think, is this idea of just swapping things out. Your screen breaks, pop on a new one, and Google is very much about that. Like you were saying earlier, lose your phone, just log into a new one, and it's all there. It's very much like Cylon-based technology. It's pretty cool.
All right, so, well, place your bets on what Apple's got planned for you, ye faithful of the fruit, but this probably kind of an Android play. In the meantime, hey, look, you guys, you've got that watch that sends your heartbeat to people, because that's how you say I love you when talking to people is annoying.
And Windows Phone users, I know there's some of you out there, you probably know better than to even ask, right? Sorry. Also, don't go getting confused thinking that because it's Google, this is a handy app you can go using with your regular carrier, then piggyback when you need it. This is the real deal, SIM card, everything, and that means ditching your current provider.
But that should be no problem, right? I mean, they wouldn't have locked you into a contract to prevent exactly this kind of thing. And no, Google won't pay your termination fee for you, sorry.
There are a lot of pros and con to what Google's doing. Mostly pros, and even roses have thorns.
Every rose has its thorn.
One of the big risks goes back to kindergarten. What do they say? You are what you eat. And when you eat giant telephone companies' businesses, you might start to understand why they made all those anti-consumer policies and make one or two little compromises, and soon you've got an army of orcs and a real thing for one particular piece of jewelry.
They've done pretty well fighting for consumer rights so far, though, so we've probably got another Age of Man or two in us, but just because they don't hand that data over to every government agency with 3 letters, doesn't mean they don't have to.
I mean, it's Google. They're the data guys. That's what they do. Everything they do revolves around that in some way. They love that stuff. Where you're going, what you're doing, who you're talking to, your favorite kind of porn. Running your life through their ecosystem and not through Sprint or T-Mobile or Wi-Fi or whatever still goes through them.
It's encrypted, obviously, but it's still there, and there's always a surfaced element. Usually one we're happy to hand over because, hey, convenience, kind of like Gmail, actually. That has access to a ton of your personal information, and even serves up tailored ads. And so no one minds because it's just so easy.
Google is very good at easy. Whether you end up using Project Fi or not, chances are you're going to benefit though, and so will Google, because the competition, they don't want to get trampled. Lawrence, what happened with Google Fiber?
It's an interesting story, and it's really just the tale of competition. Google came in, offered a superior product at a lower price, and now all of the old cable companies are fighting to stay relevant. And Google's probably going to do the same with current telecoms. I have this theory, I don't work in telecom, but I have this theory that all these companies have a gentleman's agreement that if none of them undercut each other, they all get to overcharge for what should be a cheaper service. And then Google's stepping up and disrupting the market, and everyone else has to kind of follow suit now.
But the strange thing here is that they're actually piggybacking off of established networks already, because Google didn't want to go out there and build antennas when obviously, Sprint and T-Mobile have the market share right now in like our area. But it's really interesting because they have to pay. But this is also a system that has existed for years. Remember data roaming on your phone or any sort of phone roaming? That's gone because all the telecommunication companies entered an agreement and said, screw any of that data roaming costs. We'll just eat the costs ourselves and we'll deal with it later. Google's entering into this game basically the same exact way. I'm really surprised anyone agreed to this. That's kind of crazy.
It's pretty great. You win, we win, Google wins. Giant companies that think miserable consumers are fine as long as they don't have a choice. Maybe not so much. You may not be a big fan of Google Plus in your YouTubes, but come on, they've got a pretty good track record, right?
Okay.
Goodish.
7 out of 10.
Let us know what you think in the comments. If you want more awesome news, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, keep you in the know, and it'll be fun.